Hello, my name is Megan. I am from KetoTrainer. Website is www.ketotrainer.com.au. I'm today with Mira Samuel, who happens to be one of my rookie, if you like, clients who just started his ketogenic diet journey. And I would like to capture, Mira, I'd like to capture some of your experiences early on the diet. That way, other people who've just started a diet can learn from his experiences or find any similarities, what to expect, things you've found to be enjoyable, things that you found to be difficult. So I'm going to give you the floor and let you just speak to me a little bit about your experiences in the past also.
Yes.
With your weight journey. And then just when we continue the conversation, we'll start comparing your experience on the ketogenic diet versus any other diet you've done in the past.
Well, I've got to say it's one of the most incredible things I've tried, and I have tried a lot. For those of you who know me, for those of you who don't know me, can search me up and see a history of struggle with weight loss, or perhaps with weight gain. Weight gain was the easy thing to do, but weight loss. So I've tried everything. I've tried healthy eating, eating the right things. I've tried these health packages and nutrient supplements, and I've worked with so many different programs. For one reason or another, I was never able to maintain or sustain. So something might be good at the beginning, and then you got to keep. And look, I don't mind about some of the programs, and again, I've got to be mindful of this. Some of the programs that have the nutrients and have the supplement packs and shakes and what have you, some of them may work. And look, with me, they may have worked in the past, but I've never really come across anything like the diet and the eating plan that you've put me on. And it's only been a short period of time, and I love the word rookie, right? Because it's something that I've never truly mastered, this healthy eating and getting into shape and getting fit. So going to what you're saying, I've tried everything. You know, when I was back in high school, I was fit and we were training. And for one reason or another, and it's probably got to do with my background and Egyptian background where we just love our food. But, I've never really been educated on what to eat. I mean, people usually, eat this and eat that and eat this, and everybody's got different opinion on food and health. I could talk about my personal experience. With those diets with shakes and supplements, with me, I remember this one time I had to buy this thing from a pharmacy that I put all the pills in for the day, I felt like a 9-year-old person because I had this massive thing of pills that I needed to take. And it was just something that didn't make my life easier. It made my life more difficult. And I must say, it's been absolutely incredible, Megan. I'm going into details, and I do hope this time we're spending together can just help people realize and understand that what we've learned or what we know about food is wrong.
Before we get in the topic of food, I'd like you to tell me and the viewers, what was your relationship with food before the keto diet?
I loved food. I still do love food to an extent. But my thing with food, it was a comfort thing. It was an emotional thing. It was comfort. And as I said, growing up in an Egyptian family, it was all about food. Every time we gather, it's about food. Mm-hmm. And, we have a lot of carbohydrates and a lot of rices and a lot of heavy food, heavy in sugar and carbohydrate content. And my relationship to food was something that I consistently craved for. Before getting into this program, when you saw, and we've caught up a few times, it's following this eating plan, because now my relationship to food is completely changed. So what it was guilt. There was a lot of stuff around eating, and there were things that I felt like I shouldn't be eating, and it just seemed like I was never settled with what I was doing. It was always like I wasn't doing it right. There wasn't a feeling of satisfaction. There was a feeling of trying to put something in place, but it just didn't work with my lifestyle. It didn't work. And one thing I really did with food is I binged. So I could go all day not thinking about food, and then I'd binge. I'd eat a heavy meal, or I would eat, when I talk about heavy, I've got to be careful with that now, because we eat heavy meals now, but it works for us. But I guess my relationship with food was a love and hate relationship. I loved food so much, but I hated the way it affected me. I hated the way it just made me tired, and it was just nothing that I could do to make sure that the food works for me. It was just nothing enjoyable. It was like I loved eating, but I didn't feel good. I didn't want to eat because I would restrict myself or control myself to try to lose some weight. And I did that for a little while, but that wasn't sustainable. There was no longevity in that. So it was just on and off, and I just didn't know how to do it right.
When we first met, obviously you asked me what the diet was all about, and I explained to you it was low carb, high fat. How did you comprehend that eating this amount of fats could eventually make you lose weight? What were you thinking when you heard that you need to eat fat to lose fat? Did you think I was crazy?
Absolutely.
And it's a two-part question. And the second part is, how do you feel now being on the ketogenic diet, going back to the point that you were saying you're binging, you had your relationship with food, has eating fats actually changed that relationship with you, with food?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me answer the first question. So meeting you, or the first part of the question, meeting you and what you told me initially sounded crazy. But it made sense. And the reason it made sense is that everything else I've tried didn't work, or it worked short term. Again, for those who may be watching this that know me, all my work and everything I do is based on value and results. And one thing you're able to show me, Megan, is results. And when we first spoke, our initial conversation, as crazy as it sounded, it made sense because you gave a lot of real life experiences. Like I remember very clearly how you gave examples of the fuel we use, right? Different fuels in different cars. And, you gave an example of, the fuel that you would use in a jet plane or an aeroplane is different to what you'd use in a car. So it made sense. It was crazy enough, but it made sense. And, one thing, and I really want the viewers to know, is that a few months ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes. And that come to me as something that, wow, I'm 37 years old, and I've always wanted to be healthy and fit again, but I've never really had the chance to because of whatever. But when I had the doctors tell me that I was on diabetes, and I'm actually on medication, I'm not injecting insulin, but it could have gotten to that. So I'm on Diabex, 1,000 Diabex, 500 to 1,000, depending on my numbers. The craziest thing about what you said was, and I remember this very clearly, hopefully it's the right time to say it now, but there's a machine that you gave me that measures my ketones. And I'm sure you'll go into this later, but the numbers never lie. So as crazy as it sounded, the bases and the numbers that you gave me don't lie. Now, so this is something that I find very interesting. In the morning, I measure my ketones, but I also measure my glucose. So as crazy as it was, I was still willing to give it a go because I've tried everything else. Mm-hmm. I tried everything else. Now I'm 37. They say over 40, and things start to change at 40, and I needed to either focus on getting fit. And I don't want a pill. I don't want just a pill that's gonna, I don't know what it does to the body, but do something so that whatever I eat, my sugars don't measure high. It didn't make sense to me. That whole diabetes thing didn't make sense to me. But one thing I loved is that I could measure my sugar, glucose in the morning, then I measure my ketones, and they compare. Ketones got to be high, sugar's got to be up. And it was just, so for me, the proof was in the machines, in the blood sugar testing, and also being willing to try something new. I mean, most of the things that people try anyway, we don't know it's going to work until it's worked. And I could verify 1,000% that this has worked for me. Okay. And is working and will continue to work.
Okay. Going back to the other diets that you've tried, what is it about the ketogenic diet that gave you that empowerment that you can do this and sort of more grasp the goal a little bit better and visualize it? And again, I want to prompt you to, it's something you said again about the relationship with food. Eating carbohydrates in the past, did it make you hungrier every time you ate them?
So much more hungry.
In comparison, now that you are in ketosis and you're eating fats, how are the two different diets gave you that empowerment to say, well, this is easy now? Why is it that it's easier for you now than every other time you've tried in the past?
Yeah. So there's no hype with this diet. This is one thing I've really learned. There's no hype with this diet. There is no supplements to have. There is nothing. What you were able to do is to adjust. First thing, which I believe is the most important, is my mindset. So you adjusted my mindset to diet, to the foods I eat. My relationship with food in the past was about feeling happy or getting satisfaction or, emotional eating. If something's going stressful in my life, I eat. That's what I do. That's the truth. What this has enabled me to do, and this diet has enabled me to do, is to really figure out and understand how my body reacts to what I give it. So food in, food out, or food in and process out. So the energy. So how my relationships changed, or why this diet, or why this, I don't want to call it a diet. I guess it's a lifestyle change, right? Because when people think of fats, I guess we think of, that fat, that white stuff around the meats, but you were able to show me that there are so many, and I guess I knew this, but you were able to show me at a much deeper level how there's fats in macadamia, in avocado, in different oils, coconut oil. Now, these are things that I would eat very little of. So it's almost like what you told me, I realized, and I thought, I'm actually not doing that. I'm eating a lot of carbs and I'm eating a lot of sugars, and I would crave sugar. There was a time with my diabetes, this is just before I went to the doctor, I was craving sugar, and I'd literally go around my house and I'd look for chocolate or for fruit. And I'm going to share this probably for the first time, and I'm happy to, because I want people that are watching that have tried everything and yet have not heard about this or haven't heard about this. Please speak to Maggot and just get him to show you the way. Now, Maggot, there was a time where I was craving so much sugar. It was in the middle of the night, and I went everywhere. There was nothing sugary. Would you believe I got a spoon and I dipped into the sugar bowl and I ate sugar? And I may have never told you this maybe in our discussions, but I'm happy to share it with everyone. It is real. It is real. The addiction is real. They say sugar and carbohydrates, and that's what carbohydrates is, right? It breaks down to simple, which is sugar. Complex carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates break down to sugar anyway. But I went and I felt like a drug fiend. I mean, going and spooning sugar and eating it is crazy. And that was when I went and I rang up my father's diabetic, my grandmother, and I rang up and I said, I think something's not right. My body's really craving sugar. My mouth is getting really dry. And I went to the doctor and we got checked and he gave me a pill. Now, I've got to say that my sugar is down. My sugar is down. And it has to be down because this diet it lifts up the ketones. My sugar is down and my ketones are high. So was I crazy enough to try it, or was I encouraged by you? There's a number of factors. First of all, your support. Absolutely fantastic. To follow up, to check it in every morning at what the numbers are. Number two is this particular diet, compared to all the other diets that I've ever tried, it does not require me to take any pills or schedule in shakes or carry this bottle around to shake things. What this diet, more than just the weight loss, it's educated me. It's educated me as to how, or you've educated me. You've utilized the diet to educate me on, this food that I'm putting into my body, how's my body using it? Mm-hmm. And you gave so many examples, and I really want to encourage people watching to realize that being overweight is not a great thing. Being overweight is not a great thing. I've studied martial arts and I've trained and I've done things and I've done tours around the world in my work, and it's been exhausting because I've carried on the extra weight. I'm pleased to say I've lost over 10 kilos, and how many weeks has it been? About three or so weeks. Mm-hmm. And you saw me the other day and you didn't recognize me. I mean, and I didn't have to do much for that. All I needed to do was just adjust the way I think.
No exercise.
Oh, and I've got to reveal this as well. I asked Maggot, this is the crazy part, when I was telling Maggot, how crazy he was. Mm-hmm. I asked him, I said, do you want me to exercise? And your answer was? No. And I was like, what the hell is this diet? How is this guy expecting me to gain any? And I've got to tell you, I didn't exercise. I haven't exercised. That's the difference between the diet.
We're going to make sure we really capture this fact about the diet. And I think that most of my clients who are on the diet, this is one thing that's in common with everybody. I have to admit that everybody reacts to different foods differently. And this is why we test our blood first thing in the morning to see how our bodies process that type of food.
Yep.
One common thing that I have to say with all my clients is that the fact that the satiety level is so high on the diet. And again, I'm going to have to go back towards that relationship with food that you had, because really I want to hone in that point, because I believe, and whenever I have consultations with my clients, is the reason why people put weight on is because they crave, they eat. Then they eat the sugary food, then they crave more. And then we get into this huge cycle of overeating. And this is why most people are overweight. How is eating fat and being in ketosis and your body actually making ketones, which you can visually test every morning,
Yes.
change your relationship with food and your satiety levels? And you can explain to our viewers what satiety actually is.
I love that word. I remember the first time you mentioned it. It wasn't in my vocabulary. I'd never used it. And when I said, Megan, what is satiety? And you said to me, satisfaction, the feeling of satisfaction. Look, recently we're building a project, and Megan, you've come and visited us there. And there was a lot of physical labor, physical work. And I don't usually do a lot of physical labor. And I'll never forget, I was working with a friend of mine, Rob, and I worked, and I didn't realize from like 9 in the morning till about 3:30, and I didn't realize how long I was going for without thinking of food. Now, by that time, I would have thought of food 100,000 times. The satiety the satiety levels that this, and I don't want to call it a diet, even though it's a diet, but this lifestyle changes has impacted on me, is that I feel full. I feel so full. And for those watching, I have not eaten and put in my mouth any sugar or any carbohydrates for the last, how long has it been? About 3 or 4 weeks. And initially I said to you, am I going to have any withdrawals? Am I going to feel tired? And you said to me, no, we're going to replace the fuel, and your body's going to understand how to use that fuel more efficiently. So my satiety levels has been more fullness. So I've been more full, I've been more content, and I'm not obsessing about food. And those who are overweight, or those who have been overweight, will understand what obsessing over food is. Now, I started off my career at the age of 14 in restaurants, and I was cooking in restaurants. And so cooking and eating is something that I love. It's a cultural thing, and it's a thing that has always been with me. And I guess I've related that to so many great things. But I never truly understood the meaning of fullness, even though overweight people, I'm overweight, only for a short more period, but being overweight, there's a level of fullness where you feel stuffed, where you feel just lethargic and just terrible. And those of you who are watching, I don't know other words to use, but you know what I mean. You know, when you eat so much that you're just full, not full in a good way, not to the level of satiety that I'm feeling in ketosis or on this keto regime. Mm-hmm. So I want to compare the difference. So my relationship would be to eat, and I'll have this feeling of fullness to the level of I'm full as. Mm-hmm. This satiety is different. This level of satiety or satisfaction is more internal. The food that I eat is heavy in density, if I could explain it that way, but not in fullness. So I almost feel like my internals have shrunk. And what's incredible is that there is an external, I could tell with my food. And look, there are before and after photos. I'm wearing this shirt, and I don't know if you can see it. You know, I've got photos in the same shirt 3-4 weeks ago. And I think that's what the most important thing is. I felt like I was losing weight from the inside out. And I think I shared this with you. So the level of satiety is I feel like my body doesn't need any more than that to keep me going. Mm-hmm. That's the level of satiety. In the past, it's been I'm full, I'm stuffed, or I haven't eaten all day because I'm feeling bad about eating. And I'm trying to eat, but end of the day, I'll end up eating a pizza with mates in the evening, or, you know, what am I going to cook? Let's cook some pasta, or we'll go out to dinner or something. And I didn't understand how combining the protein with the carb, and look, even though I did to an extent, I didn't understand it to this depth, because nobody says eat 80% fat, 15% protein and 5% carbohydrates. It doesn't make sense.
Now,
but more
since you broke that down, I don't want to miss that really important, very important point that you actually brought up. Whenever I talk to people who are semi-interested in doing a ketogenic diet, as soon as I mention that we're going to reduce your carbs and they hear the word no breads or no rice or no fruit, that's when they freak out. Now, as somebody that's really new on the program, up to 3 weeks, I'd like you to share your experience of what it has been like cutting down your sugars. Is it as bad as everybody thinks it is? Was it really tough? The fact that we replaced your sugars with fats, did your body feel there's a difference? Is it performing better? Is it performing worse? Go for it.
Absolutely. I think that was the first question I asked you. I said, Maggot, I am now classified as a diabetic. Maggot, I'm on this medication. Maggot, I have an addiction to sugar. And you said to me that'll be all changed. And I said, let's go. Let's give it a go. For those who are watching, or those who are going to be listening to this, who feel that, and I said to you, is there going to be any, because of my work and what I do, I said, is there going to be any downfall? Am I going to be sick and tired for a week because I know the withdrawal symptoms? I personally didn't experience any withdrawal. I was actually more excited about creating my meals with this new methodology, with this new theory, and somehow the fats, they block certain receptors. I'm not sure what it is, Maggot, and maybe you can enlighten us now or later, but I almost feel like the way I'm now eating has impacted certain receptors in my body, which have eliminated. I see you smile. I haven't done a lot of research. I'm getting all my information from you. I've done some research with you, and I want to learn more. But I'm just trying to put into words what I've experienced, and it almost feels like some receptor is being blocked. Some receptor is being blocked. We've had lunch together. You see the amount of food I'm eating, and it just doesn't make sense to me. It still doesn't make sense. To the extent of me, like, what time is it now? At this time, I should be hungry and I could go out and get something or order something in. I don't feel that. That feeling of satisfaction is unbelievable. It's actually unexplainable. I'm finding it difficult to put into words purely for that reason. I feel like something chemically just blocks it off. Like, when I'm with people who are fit or they're just satisfied and you say, well, let's go get something to eat. They're like, no, I've eaten. I was never that person. I was like, sure, let's eat. I was never that person.
I'd like to actually share a little story with you. Probably the viewers don't realize that I was very overweight a few years ago. And that was actually the reason why I went to study nutrition medicine, is because I tried everything. I did everything. I was at the gym twice a day, weights in the morning, cardio at night time. I would have no fat. I would buy a chicken, char grilled chicken, and one of my friends, I remember this story quite well. I remember going to Coles and buying this chicken, and then we had nowhere to eat it, so we, took it out on the bonnet of his car, and he was saying, "You're gonna drop the chicken, it's gonna slide out because of all the oil." And I said, "No, that's fine." And long story short, it did. The chicken fell on the bonnet, and he will never forget that day. But I used to take the skin off the chicken, and I used to get tissues and wipe the breast down so there's no residue of fat from the skin.
That's what we're told. Fat is bad. Fat is not good.
So my diet was carbohydrates. I would have, things like oats in the morning, skinny milk, and zero fats.
Yeah.
So I did everything. And I wanted to go to uni to learn. Is it me? Am I doing something wrong? No, pretty much everything I learned was pretty much the same. So going back to ketones and being in ketosis, ketones actually block, they're a substrate in the body that gives you that satiety level you've been asking about. Wow. Fats give you twice the energy of carbohydrates. They make you feel fuller for longer. So I was just like everybody else, wanting answers to why I can't keep the hunger off. And getting back to the point is that, I used to visit my parents with my wife and my brother still living at home, and she would cook dinner. And then after dinner, she'll bring out the ice cream. And my brother would say, no, I don't want the ice cream. And I think, how could you not want cookies and cream ice cream? So I would have that. And then after the cookies and cream ice cream, my mum would bring out the tea with chocolates, with a plate of chocolates and Tim Tams. And I would have that. And then he would say, no, thanks. And I'm thinking, what's the matter with you? And then once that's done, she'll bring out the fruit. I mean, I'm crazy about fruit. I was crazy about fruit. And I would have watermelon, I'd have grapes, and he would say no. And I used to think to myself, I'm overweight, he's very skinny. But I used to always think, what kind of person does it take for somebody to say no to yummy food? It doesn't matter if you're not hungry, but how could you say no to a Tim Tam or ice cream? And that is what the key was why he was skinny and I wasn't, because he knew when to say no. There was something in his body that told him, I don't need this.
It's not
And
thinking and it's not willpower.
no, it's not. It's
If I
not.
could just add that, because it's not willpower. Those who say getting healthy or getting fit is willpower, it is absolutely not, because I've got willpower. I've done things and I've achieved things in so many areas of my life that required so much action, so much willpower, except eating and dieting. So I just want to make sure that this becomes effortless. This has become effortless for me. I don't need to decide. My body just says no. It's literally like I can't stomach it. I can't have it. So I just wanted to reiterate that, Maggot, please, because every other diet I've done, and this answers your previous question, every other diet I've done has been that. It's like me seeking that I need to discipline myself more or work more. This diet works in reverse. And it actually does that. There's something inside that says no.
Correct. And the only reason I've lost this weight, not because of exercise, as a matter of fact, I don't, because I've got a lot of issues. I've got a lot of injuries. I've got arthritis in my hips and I've got ankle issues. So I don't do any exercise except just upper body at the gym. But I became my brother through eating fat and my body making ketones. That's not the reason my brother always been skinny, but now I have that mentality. My relationship with food has also changed, just like yours has. And whether I can eat once or twice a day and I'm not fussed. Food is no longer in my head all the time. The cravings are stopped. I'm full all the time. I only have dinner or breakfast is when I have it with my wife, but I'm not crazy any longer. I don't come home starving and open the cupboards and I just go nuts because I'm so fascinated with food. While I'm watching a movie, I don't open the fridge and just to see what's there and whatever I can bring with me back to the couch, I can sit and watch TV with food. That for me, that's what's changed. For me, that's why I lost weight. Yes.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. And again, why this diet is because you shared your personal story with me. You got me. You understood that it is not comfortable to wear a nice fitting shirt. It is not comfortable to be running around and sweating and tired. It's not comfortable that in the middle of, in my travel or in my training programs that I got to, have an energy drink to keep me going or 3 coffees. And for those who are watching, please understand that I'm going through the process. I'm actually very privileged to be called Ruka, because if I'm feeling this good now, geez, I just wonder how much better it's going to get. Nothing mattered more to me than when you saw me and you said, I didn't recognize you. Now, you weren't complimenting me, it's truth. And obviously you've got my numbers never lie. You've got my scale weight. So it makes sense. And I also just want to encourage, just as a word of encouragement to those of us who have this relationship with food, it's not our fault. It's not entirely our fault, because I didn't know, and we don't know what we don't know until we know it. We try to keep balanced, and they tell us to stay disciplined, and you got to do this and fit in exercise, and there is just so much to do. And what you were able to do is really cut that back and say, no, stop all that. This is what you need to do. Readjust your body on how to use these fuels. So logically, it makes sense. I mean, you can't run a diesel car on premium unleaded. Most of us are so conscientious about the type of fuel or the type of oil we have in our car. I drive a European car, you drive a European car. We've got to be very careful which types of oil, which types of fuel that we put in our car. And people watching, it's not about discipline. It's just about putting the right fuel in the car. It's about putting the right thing in. So now that I've put the right fuels, and by fat, the word fat, I think the media and certain organizations have made fat to be so evil. Fat is not evil. And I could say this because fat kills fat. It truly does. What's evil is the sugar and carbohydrates. I mean, you look at any package today, and you gave me obviously what to look for in food. There are food ingredients that are not even words, they're numbers. And it's insane. Like when we were growing up, even as children, there was no such thing as asthma and allergies and ADHD and autism, and something is not right. Something in the food that we're eating is not right. So going back to simplicity, going back to the natural things, going to the 1 or 2 ingredients. I mean, this is one of the things that you told me, which was very good. And avocado is one ingredient. You said to me, that's best for you. Anything that's one ingredient with no additives, no preservatives, it makes sense. So when we switch to 80% fat, and I want to make sure, because when I first heard it, I was like, what does he want me to do? Just eat butter? It's not like that. They're actually very healthy. And Megan, I gotta say thank you, and thank you for showing me how to make these meals to make them nice, to make them palatable. You know, when we talk about fat, it's literally, as you said, it's not eating, it's not throwing away the skin off the chicken. It's eating avocados. It's having good proteins.
And your eggs.
These are the small changes. And eggs. Now, I didn't need to. You didn't send me any pills. You didn't sign me up to any crazy program where I needed to have $500 worth of supplements a month. Even though I've done these programs in the past, and credit to them or not credit to them, but with this, it's simple, it's effective, and it's enjoyable. It's so enjoyable that I actually can't eat. And I know you remember this. We've been together a couple of times, and I can't eat. When he said to me, "How you going with the program?" I said to you, "Mate, I feel so full." You know, another thing comes to mind that I really want to share. When I shared this with my parents, because they saw me and they said, "Wow," I took in between visits, they saw me and they said, "You look great." And I actually make it a point to weigh myself at my parents, because I don't want to weigh myself every day. So every time I go and visit them, every few weeks, I weigh myself. So I decided to share with my parents the diet that I'm on, or this new eating thing. And another thing I want to encourage people is that when you do start this diet, when you contact Megan and get started on this, just listen to his advice about, who to share this with, who to share your new thing with. And I completely agree, Megan. This has been very helpful for me to get the results first, because when you have this discussion with people who haven't actually tried it, when you have this discussion or tell people that I'm now eating 80% fats, they're automatically going to suggest things. They haven't got the know-how, they haven't got the experience, they haven't got anything, but everyone's got an opinion. So it's good, they probably have the best intention at heart, but to me, this is something very sacred, something very personal. I'll try it and I will see the results. Like it was more better for me to have my parents verify it and say something's different, right? Than me say, "Hey, I'm on this diet and it's 80% fat." And then I'll be like, "Well, let's gonna do whatever." They don't have a clue. So to me, it was so much effective to get the results first, like a quiet achiever. Yeah. Now we can talk about the results, and now I'm more excited about the results to come. But one fascinating thing that happened is when I told my mum and dad about this, this eating thing, Dad says, "Well, I knew this all along, eh?" What's that?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Dad said, "Well, your grandfather," and my dad's grandfather that I've never met. I met and I was raised by my mum's parents, but my father's parents I'd never met. And Dad was telling me how he would literally have fresh milk from the cow with this much cream on it, and he was the healthiest man. And they would eat ghee and fats, and there's certain parts of the meat that has lots of fat that my dad craves, but he thinks that he can't have them because of his diabetes. So it was incredible how they knew this knowledge all these years ago, and it's incredible how all this knowledge exists now. But they're not going to make as much money. The corporation's not going to make so much money by telling us to eat, fat foods. They want you to eat the sugary stuff that'll get you addicted. See, they're not going to be able to sell you a lot of food if the fat content was high and you're satiety, if you're feeling full and people are healthy. But we've got to do something about this. We have to do something about this as individuals and as people. All the snacks, and if you walk around in the shopping center, for those who are watching, you walk around in the shopping center, you look at people's trolleys, and most of the things they have in there for their kids and for their house, sugar. And one thing that I just advise people to do is look at your current cupboard now at home. How much, just what's the sugar content and stuff? When was the last time you really craved, ice cream? I love ice cream. Just the thought of ice cream now, I can't stomach it. And if you were to ask me, how do I sum up this diet? Effortless. The only effort is actually putting the food together, which is a delight, because especially the way you teach. And I'm also excited about the videos you're going to be bringing out about how to be more effective in the cooking. But probably the craziest thing is that it is effortless. I've had to do nothing. It's almost like I'm losing this weight or I'm shredding from the inside out during my sleep. Logically, it doesn't make sense.
Yep. And, just for the viewers, what you said is actually not, when you're saying you burn fat during sleep, it's actually not wrong, because what we test for is ketones in the blood first thing in the morning, which is an indication of what energy source that your body is using at nighttime. And if you are in ketosis, your body burns the fat during sleep. And this is why we eat the fats during the day, because if you stop eating the fats during the day, Miro, you tell me, when you don't eat enough fats, what happens when you wake up in the morning and you test your ketone levels?
Ketones are low.
It goes low. So our bodies, without having to, I can tell you everything all day long, but now you've got the luxury of actually verifying the very thing I'm telling you through your own blood, and your blood doesn't lie. So when I tell you got to eat more fats, you go to bed, you wake up in the morning, your ketones are high, which is indication of what your body's done during the night.
Yes.
As soon as you drop your fats, what happens? Your fat burning capabilities during the night reduce. So what do we need? Fats. Fats burn fats.
Fats burn fats. Fats kill fat. I can vouch for this 1,000%. I'm trying to bring an image up. You know, when we first met and you bought me the machine and you had me all set up, I said I'd be interested to know my ketone levels now. And you said to me, it'll be nothing. And I was like, what do you mean it will be nothing? What do you mean it will be nothing? I've eaten, I've got things in my body. You said, yeah, it'll be nothing because you've eaten carbohydrates, you've eaten protein, you've eaten fat. So I just want to just explain to people my experience also is that the food, what I was giving my body all at once, the carbohydrates, the vegetables, and, you know, what they call a nice balanced meal, was actually affecting me negatively, not positively. Because my body didn't know how to use the carbohydrates with the proteins at the same time. And what's incredible, and I've got I don't know if people could see that, backwards, upside down. So I'm measuring and I'm sending these images, you know, and I mean, this is what I sent to Maggot. It's probably a bit bright, but this is what I sent to you. And this was on the 8th of Jan. This is, I don't know if you can see this, but anyway, we'll put up all these images because I want people to get it. I want people to know that it's doable. And I remember when I said, let's measure it, you were showing me how to use the machine. I said, I already know because I've got a diabetes thing. It's exactly the same. But I said to you, I'm interested to know what it is now. And I measured and it was 0.1. And I said, wow. And I remember when I sent you this image of 1.2, you said, what? Remember that? It was on the 8th of January.
It's almost like your body was craving to start burning fat to survive for energy.
And you know, I have not endorsed, I've never endorsed any, and people that know me know this, I've never endorsed a health diet or a diet plan, and even the very well-known supplement companies that sell health plans, you know, they hire me all the time to do sales training for their teams and to speak to their people, and they often give me gifts, you know, and it's not about that their product works or not, because it does for some people, but it didn't for me, and I'm sure it's not going to for a lot more people. And the thing there is sustainability. This is the first diet that I was actually encouraged, or this is the first diet that there's an actual machine where I could test. Numbers never lie. And I mean, I use this principle in business all the time. The beautiful thing, and my phone's a little bit bright, I don't know why it's a bit lit, but we're going to have all these images available for your people. But I verify 100%. Even my blood sugar, it was 6.9 that morning, and it's usually 12 and 15. Now that's insane, absolutely insane. What did I have to do to get this, to achieve these results? Because the results are the key. How much harder would I have to work? And I've done it. I've done the cycling. I've done the martial arts. I've done the training. Peaks and troughs. I remember when I did martial arts and we'd do gradings. And I did Kyokushin karate, which is the world's hardest karate. It's high impact. It's full contact karate. And our gradings are 8-hour gradings. Wow. 8-hour gradings. So for every belt, we had to do 8 hours. And it was training, and I would always remember. And I was overweight, but I had to push through. And I remember the energy drinks I used to drink. I'm serious. Sugar bars, nut bars, but it was peaks and troughs. And at the end of it, I was exhausted. You know, if I could just, again, you know, summarize as I'm going: simplicity, effortlessness, and results that I don't even know. I almost feel, what have I done to deserve these results? What have I done to achieve these results? I know it might sound crazy, but this is how I feel. What have I actually done compared to everything else I've done? What have I done to achieve this?
All right. So I don't want to take too much of your time. I really, really thank you for having this discussion with me.
My pleasure.
My last question to you, do you feel more empowered now that you've attempted the ketogenic diet, felt less hungry, no cravings? Has reaching your goal now, has it become a simpler task, something you can grasp and you can touch with your own hands?
Absolutely. I am more excited about what's to come. So as I've shared with everybody, have I shared my weight? No. I shared how much I lost. So I'm excited. There's another 16 kilos that I'd like to drop, and I can't wait for us to have another conversation, because that's my milestone. As I said to you, I haven't fully focused. All I've really done, and this is to everybody watching, and I'm available to verify this with whoever would like to have a conversation, just to confirm that this has worked for me. All I've got to focus on now is getting the meat. Like, what I've been focusing on is making my meals and eating. And one of the struggles that I have is I'm trying to eat. Like, literally, this is the biggest struggle that people are going to have on the program, is that you're going to feel so full. And I message Megan, or he'll message me, and it'll be like, have you eaten your food today? You know, Megan, I can't eat. He'll be like, he'll give me another option or something to do to make sure that I'm still fitting it in. But it is so much more, not just realistic. You know, I'm thinking about your question more, and I almost feel like a part of me had given up.
Mm.
You know, I'm not the fitness guy. I don't want to spend 60 minutes in the gym every night.
Mm-hmm.
As much as that's nice, I've sort of gone over that stage years and years ago, and I understand that putting in this effort at the gym, and then when I come off, it's almost like my body and my mind has tried that cycle again. And I didn't even think of this consciously until you asked me now, but it is so much more vivid. It's so much more reachable, and to a level where I wanted to make sure that this was less strenuous, because obviously I've got other focuses in my life. I could dedicate 20 minutes, half an hour to training, but I was blown away when you said to me, no training. Let's get you in ketosis first. So is it reachable? Is it achievable? 100%. And the proof is here, and what you're about to or what you're going to show your people about the results, not just me, all your other clients that you've shown me, is that this does work, and it is effortless. The only effort is measuring yourself in the morning and making sure you can eat those meals. That's it. The variety of food is unbelievable. There is no limits. There is absolutely no limits to what you can eat, of course, except the sugars and the carbohydrates. And I'm excited. I'm excited about those extra 16 kilos that I'm going to drop, and I will drop them. And I've been on this diet weight loss thing for a long time, but I just became, okay, well, let's see how that happens. And it was just one of those things that were dragging. I wasn't paying too much attention to it, but now I'm clear. And it's incredible how by doing less, I'm achieving more.
Thank you very much, Miro. I really appreciate your time.
My absolute pleasure.
Many, many more discussions with you. So hopefully I can catch you in another couple of weeks or another month, and then you can again share your experience a month down the track in Kitchen, what it is like, if it's getting better, if it's getting worse. And for all you guys who are watching and listening, if you want any more information, just go to my website, www.ketotrainer.com.au. Also the Facebook, www.facebook.com/KetoTrainer. You can reach me there on the emails, or you can just private message me on the Facebook page. I'm happy to answer all questions at any time. So please give us a call or an email, whatever suits you, if you want to make a change to your life.
Thank you. I appreciate your time as well, and make it happen. And thank you for the great work, and thank you for coming to a place of actually experiencing all this, and serving and helping so many people. So pleasure to be on the journey, and I can't wait for the next time. 16 kilos lighter.
Definitely. If I have anything to do with that, you will get your goal. Don't worry.
And look, I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, I'm a trainer, I'm a teacher. I have people that I work with and inspire. And I've got to say, Megan, I am truly blessed to have you as somebody who's leading me in that path in life, because you're committed, your heart is in it, and I just want to say thank you.
Not a problem, Mira. Anytime. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.